Okay, no, happy Fri-YAY, divas. The is today's topic is ways to do gigs without going broke. So, indeed. Okay, my topic being ways to, I think it was like ways to get more gigs or ways to do a bunch of gigs without going broke. And the reason that the reason that this is on the list is because I know a lot of people, and I have also done this, in which I look like I'm having a fantastic season, and yet I am like hemorrhaging money because of the way that gig fees work. And so I will fully admit to that, and that's why I also don't want you to do this, right? But I know that this happens to a lot of people, and that's why we have to start. We have to change our thinking around these kinds of things. We cannot. Oh, I mean, it's one thing. I don't want you to be subsidizing other people's like organizations with your financial like revenue life. I don't want it like so that's what I'm saying is I don't want you to go broke doing gigs. If you're doing gigs, I want you to be making money. If this is happening to you, and this does not mean don't ever take a gig where you're losing money. Like, listen, you already know my caveats about this is that sometimes you just really want to do a gig, or it gets you access to a person, or it gets you access to performing a piece that you really want to do, gets you access to a space that you really want to be in. I get it. Like, those are choices, but you, my friendly little diva, are the decider. You're the decider. So you are the decider. You are the person who decides whether or not that is worth it. That's a valuable exchange of your time and energy and skills. So I want to talk about ways that you can, I guess this is kind of like make more money when you're gigging, which is first and foremost, which is understand your fees, right? If you don't know how to set your own fees, right? Not like other people's fees, but your own fees, please watch my videos on that. Please listen to my podcast episodes on that. And I really, really want you to set your own fees so that you know whether or not you're starting from a place of like suggesting this is what it actually takes to bring me out to do this performance or to be a part of this gig or whatever it is. Because if you are the one who's lowballing yourself first, honey, you are the person that is like the problem. So make sure that you're not lowballing yourself, right? That you are starting from a place of negotiating what it actually takes to do that. I really want you to figure out what your floor, and I guess, I mean, who really has a ceiling in this case, but floor and ceiling, right? So this might look like figuring out, I can't do this gig if it's lower than this amount. I have a friend, I'm going to take a quick side story. I have a friend that calls this our get out of bed number, right? That I cannot consider a gig that falls below my get out of bed number, right? I make more money sitting on my couch than if I took this gig because I would be losing money if I took this gig, right? That is to say things like travel, time. If you could make more money doing something else, I mean, that's very likely, but like, I want you to think about that, and you need to quote an actual number that is meaningful to you, to that person, so that you're not losing money on that gig. So the first one is like, how do I not go broke doing gigs? Is also making sure that you're incorporating travel into these things, and that's also a regular standing gig. So I can quote you an example of like being, a ringer for a choir, where I realized that the travel time and cost for that was working out to be more than what I was getting paid to be in that choir. Then I realized, I was like, oh, well, this is great for certain things, but I can't continue doing this because it's kind of a loss. It's a loss on my in my budget. So I want you to think about that. What is my time cost, and what is my literal like fuel cost and stuff like that for going to this gig? What are my travel costs? Can you negotiate that number? You might be in a gig right now, maybe a consistent gig, in which you need to go back and renegotiate, where you're saying like, hey, I love being a part of this, and is there any way that we can make this more sustainable for me because of this time cost and this energy cost and this literal travel cost? So So that's one of them. So we started with like, make sure you're not lowballing yourself. Quote your real prices, right? Incorporate travel. This is one that I was getting caught with earlier on in my career, which was being quoted, well, here's what our budget is. And then all of my travel costs would come out of what they were willing to pay me. So it might have been a really decent gig if I were local, but if all of my travel costs are coming out of that one paycheck, then what am I actually taking home as revenue from that gig? That's something that I've changed over time. We're just being a lot more thoughtful about it and incorporating it when I quote the fee, right? Or not taking gigs. Like, I'm sorry if that's, then you need to find somebody else who can make that happen, that has that circumstance. I can't take a loss on this gig because I'm spending all of the budget, your budget money on getting there in the first place. So keep that in mind. And then another one that I really like to talk about is add-ons, right? If you were like, upsells, yay! Okay, so this might be a way where you might be able to make more money in a situation if you are touring, if you're doing a gig. See if you can add something to that experience. If they're bringing you out to do a performance, can you add a masterclass that's an additional fee? Can you add a workshop, or can you partner with another school where you can do these things? Can you do a secondary performance that's not necessarily the same repertoire, but in like not the exact same venue or whatever, where you could get 2 gig fees instead of 1 gig fee for what you're doing, right? Maybe you have a side hustle, right? Maybe it's like something like where I do coaching and you can do coachings while you're there, right? So that you're actually making, you're able to augment the amount of money of what you're doing while you're there. Listen, if all of those things are losing money though, then you really need to think about going back to that first part, which is these are unsustainable prices for what I'm doing, right? These are unsustainable fees. I am subsidizing this organization or this business with my own funds. So do hear me say that one of the ways that this works is by saying no to things that don't work out. You have to be responsible to your own fees and your own budget. And so when somebody says this is what the budget is, you can say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do it for that amount or whatever. And so one of those options is saying no. One of those options is making sure that you start from the place of negotiating your actual fees, right? One of those things is incorporating travel or having them take care of travel costs overall, right? Another one of those is augmenting, right? Adding on upsells, any of that kind of stuff. So think about those divas right now. Think about how can I incorporate any and all of these strategies into what I'm doing now so that I can make more money on these gigs, right? What am I doing that I can do that? Yeah. If you have any other strategies that you want to share with me, or you want to share like with with Fri-YAY land, send them my way. And I always love talking to you. As always, stay sparkly inside and out. Bye.